Greetings, my friends, and welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program. And I have to tell you, you are among, if not the most intelligent consumers of media in the country today. You have to be, as I'm your host. And as I look at the media landscape, which followed this program yesterday, man, is it stunning. Anyway, great to have you here. The telephone number, if you want to be on the program, is 800-282-2882, and the email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. Let me review here for just a second. I'm in a quandary here. I mean, I've got the audio soundbite roster today, and I am it. And as you know, that makes me profoundly uncomfortable. I am not one of these people who wants to make everything about me. I really am not, and you people know that. But I spent, for those of you who were here, yes, this will remind you, for those of you who weren't, I spent arguably yesterday's entire program pouring out my soul to you people and explaining to you how I arrive at the places I get to, and how sometimes it's very challenging because over the years I've gotten to know all of the people that are the newsmakers in the recent spate of news stories related to the Republican presidential campaign. Some of them I count among my best friends, and I've known them for over 30 years, 25, 30 years, and yet here I am thrust into a position, not complaining about it, where I have to be able to put all that aside and get right down to what I think about it, whatever it is from issue to issue, because it's all about you, meaning being truthful to what your expectations of this program are and of me. And so I said, particularly the first hour yesterday, I spent, you know what, actually the first 90 minutes, the first hour and a half of this program, I spent a lot of time and concentrated, focused on trying just to explain all of the elements. Did not come down on one side or the other. I just tried to analyze and explain it, and then I watched what happens with that in the rest of the media is stunning. The lack of depth, and I mean this, the lack of ability to understand nuance. And yesterday wasn't that nuanced. It was pretty cut and dried. You didn't have to read between the lines of what I was saying. That's why I went to such lengths to be as perfectly clear as I could. And yet, the rest of the drive-by media, which follows the program, can't get past the horse race. You know, yesterday's program it held particularly deep meaning for me. And last night, throughout the night, watching cable news or hearing about it, I actually didn't watch it. It's amazing how the drive-by media just reduces everything to the horse race. And the conclusion, what they apparently picked up from our 3-hour program yesterday was that I was siding with Donald Trump over Fox News, over the Republican candidates. That's how they analyzed it. I didn't side with anybody. I haven't sided with anybody. During primaries, I never do side with anybody. There's nothing unusual about what's going on here. What I endeavor to do is analyze and explain it. And the whole point of yesterday's program was to try to explain to people how in the world somebody like Trump, busting convention, doing everything everybody says you're not supposed to do. How can he be, according to the polls, running away with this? How can a guy who's not going to show up on TV dominate TV? How can a guy who announced he's not going to participate own it? I endeavored to explain this yesterday. And I made it very clear that what Trump is doing is breaking every political formula that exists. He's busting all the convention, and nobody can figure it out. Everybody follows the formula. Everybody plays the game. The rules of the game have been set by tradition. and experience. And it's expected that you are to follow those rules. The elites in any organization are exclusionary, and their job is to keep newbies out, particularly newbies that are violating the rules. They're not only not to get in the club, they are not to win if they sneak into the club. All of that's being violated. I attempted to explain it, and I thought I did rather well, but it was reduced to Limbaugh. Here, taking sides with Trump, CNN, other cable networks, and so forth. So now I'm in a quandary here. I've got all these audio sound bites, and they all talk about me and what I said. They play the clips of what I said and still don't get it. I guess it could be fun reviewing that, but it makes me uncomfortable being the focus of everything here. But really, the takeaway here is, and I think all of you in this audience get it. You understand the mainstream media. They want you to believe that they are the smartest, the brightest, the most experienced, the greatest analysts. Only they have the experience, the knowledge, the contacts to be able to analyze, dig deep, and explain things to you that you otherwise wouldn't know. And that is a joke, because they can't get past the horse race aspect of everything, mixed in with their own personal biases. Like, I kind of jumped on Fox a little bit yesterday. And I don't consider it jumping on Fox. I expressed I was surprised. Okay, so here's a candidate running for President Trump. He says, you know what, I'm not going to do your debate. Okay, fine, you're not going to do our debate? Fine. We won't miss you. Go ahead and do what you want to do. Go to Canada, have a debate with Cruz, whatever you said you're going to do, but we are going to do the debate, and here's the other rest of the news, and let it be done with, instead of turning the whole rest of the night over to how you've been jilted. Well, CNN came along last night and violated every other rule. They turned over their whole night to Fox News. I have never, why in the world would you spend 4 hours talking about your competitor? Even if you think you're criticizing, even if you think you're bringing people on who you think are criticizing them, you don't you don't help them out that way. It's about violating rules, but they are so eager. You know, Fox is the king of the hill. Fox is just 3, 4, 5 times bigger than their nearest competitor. And so they'll take any opportunity they think they've got to whittle Fox down to size, using other people to do it because they haven't figured out how to do it on their own with their own programming. So I guess CNN figures that their audience wants to tune in and watch Fox get beat up. What kind of audience do you have if that, and you're a cable news network, and you think your audience wants to hear Fox News get beat up? This stuff has gotten so inside baseball, it's become so personal that there's degrees of malpractice going on out there regarding journalism. Nothing new, I understand. I'm just further analyzing this for you as I see it. What do you think, Snerdley? Should I play some of these sound bites? Yeah, see, you never say no to that. You know, you're just all in there because you think there's all. Well, let's start and give some examples. What do we have first here? CBS Evening News. Major Garrett, formerly of Fox News. CBS Evening News last night. Here is, what is this? It's a portion of his report. And this one, they're trying to figure out what side I'm on. See, I have to be on a side. I have to have chosen a side here. I mean, that's just the way it works. Because Rush's talk radio, not deep. Talk radio is just, a bunch of idiots. So Rush has to have taken a side. What side did Rush take? Anyway, here's Major Garrett in the South that started.
Trump did get support from influential conservative radio host Rush Limbaugh.
I got news for you. He is controlling the media, and it's his objective. He is controlling the media. He controls the media when he's not on it. He controls the media when he is on it. He controls the media when he's asleep.
By Fox's count, Trump has appeared on the network 132 times during the campaign, far more than any of his Republican rivals. Trump is now challenging the network's well-defined role in the Republican nomination conversation.
Right. So Trump got support from me. I wasn't supporting Trump. I wasn't criticizing Trump. I was simply explaining how all this, in my opinion, is happening. There are a lot of people, starting with the Republican establishment, who can't figure this out. And a lot of other people as well. And they're out there saying, you can't control him. You can't tell the media what to do. Well, he is. My only point was to illustrate he is controlling the media no matter where he goes, where he doesn't go, no matter whether he's awake or asleep. Somehow that ends up, and Rush Limbaugh took Donald Trump's side today on talk radio. Here's NBC, the Today Show today, correspondent Peter Alexander, and his report on all this.
Rushing to Trump's defense, Rush Limbaugh.
Donald Trump knows that by not showing up, he's owning the entire event.
Our new NBC News Wall Street Journal Marist poll out just this morning shows that Trump has now catapulted back into first place ahead of Ted Cruz here in Iowa by 7 points. His lead in New Hampshire is even wider, closer to 20 points. And remember that no non-incumbent Republican candidate has ever won both Iowa and New Hampshire.
How is it? All right. How is it that stating the obvious has become partisan? All that was a statement of what's obvious. Trump is controlling the media. By not showing up, he's owning the entire event. That was reported as me rushing to Trump's defense. Running to Trump's defense? I'm simply repeating the obvious. And in addition to that, I was reacting to what some other people were out there saying. He can't control the media. Who does he think he is? And hey, wake up, gang. He is controlling the media. It's all it was. That's not all it was, Rush. You're taking Trump's side. Everybody can hear it. No, only a small mind who can't get past horse race thinking would even have that occur to them. Now, here's John Heilemann. He and Mark Halperin, another couple here that are credited with some of the greatest brains in American political reporting. These are the guys that write books during the campaign. They learn all kinds of stuff that might affect people's votes, but they don't release any of it until after the election so that they can personally profit from it by selling their book. Fine. That's how they do it. They are considered to be some of the sharpest minds in American political analysis. So we start with Heilemann, who has to suggest here that what they're doing is investigating what was said from the far-right precincts of talk radio land.
Speaking from the far-right precincts of talk radio land, Rush Limbaugh said, quote, "In this business, one of the games is that when the media calls, you answer, and when the media wants you, you go. That's the game. Trump is so far outside this game. He's so far outside the rules. He's never been a player in this game. He's always been an outsider."
And I further said that it's so far outside the game, the people inside the game haven't the slightest idea what he's doing. They don't know how he's doing it, and it's got them scared to death because it's so outside the formula. They don't know how to deal with it. They've toyed with changing debate rules. They've toyed with changing the convention rules. They've toyed with trying to take Trump out during debates. They don't know how to deal with it because he's so outside the game, the way this is always done. You ever worked at a place? You're new on the job, and somebody tells you to do something that seems crazy? Well, that's the way we've always done it. Well, that's American political party structure. That's the way we've always done it. And that's the way they're always going to do it. Because the power people, the elites, determine the way it's always been done, the way it's going to continue to be done. Somebody comes along and challenges that. Not welcome. We're not even going to like you. We're not even going to let you in the club. The guy storms in the club, then wins everything, makes it look like the guys running the club don't have the slightest idea what they're doing. It's Panic City. Not one word of that is in support of Trump. I'm just telling you what's going on. These guys, Halperin and Heilemann, doing their own version of analysis. Here's what Halperin says following Heilemann's venture into the far-right precincts of talk radio land.
My initial impulse was this was good for him, a moment of strength. He doesn't need the debate. That means a lot of the debate will be about beating up Ted Cruz. And Trump does best, like most candidates, when he's acting from his heart and his gut. And he was insulted by Fox News and doesn't want to be part of their debate. Since then, I've heard people, I was talking to one of the smartest people I know and covers politics, who said this could be a big mistake. I'm not convinced that this is a mistake. Iowans, I think, might, under other circumstances, mind.
Did you hear that? Mark Halperin came out supporting Trump. Did you hear that? Let it ring across the country. Mark Halperin just sided with Donald Trump. An independent journalist who makes up his mind never doesn't announce who he's just endorsed Trump. See? That's how it works. Now back to John Heilemann following that latest comment.
I think by and large, the same thing that you think, which is that one day later, what has not happened is the world has not come crashing down on his head. He's been praised for being strong, and he is looking like Limbaugh said. I hate to find myself agreeing with Rush, but he looks like he's bigger than Fox News.
They just can't stand it. They just... the arrogance. Only they. See, these guys have their own club, and I'm not welcome. Only they are allowed to do analysis. Only they are allowed to pontificate. Only they are allowed to be taken serious. Here I come from the far-right precincts of talk radio. We can't have that. This guy Limbaugh is an intruder. He's not paid his dues. He didn't go to college. He hadn't written any stories. He hadn't worked at any think tanks. He's never worked for a ham sandwich. What is this guy? Comes in, storms the country, takes over talk radio, but he thinks he's an expert. Screw that. We're not allowing that. That's how I know how this stuff works, folks. Anyway, brief timeout. Don't go away. Be right back.